But the question is, does he want to even reveal his third Pokemon at this point? Is he going to stay in and just try to make all this energy go?
He's gonna catch it, watch. Oh, man.
What is up, everyone? This weekend with the first regional championships after the drop of this new moveset update, the tournament was held in Stuttgart, Germany, and almost 100 players competed in this new metagame for a spot in the World Championships and a piece of that $10,000 prize pool. I was there too, and I ended up getting top 8, which was pretty dope, but this video is not about me. In this video, I'm going to showcase just a small selection of the best battles we had in the weekend. First, let's take a look at this new meta. A lot has changed after the Timer's Travels update. Of course, some of the old guard like Lickitung, Medicham and Lantern are still very much present, but some of the buff Pokemon like Azumarill and Skarmory also see play in the top 12. Ultimately though, it was Charjabug, Poliwrath, Cresselia and a selection of dragons that truly made waves in this tournament though. Personally, I think it's great to see that of all the top used mods last season, really only Lickitung survived the moveset update. Other top used mods from last season like Medicham, Lantern, Alolan Sandslash and Serperior barely see any use in these top winning teams. So they made for some very interesting battles this weekend, the first of which we'll be taking a look at in a second. This is actually going to be one of my battles versus Woolfpack in winners round 4 of our group. This is game number 3. We are 1-1. This one battle decides who moves into the winners finals of our group and moves on to the lower bracket. I'm running a team of Shadow Dragonair, Galarian Stunfisk, Mantine, Charjabug, Trevenant and Shadow Poliwrath versus Wolfpack's Medicham, Skarmory, Charjabug, Umbreon, Altaria and Wishcasha. And playing a pretty risky line here with a Mantine lead, Poliwrath in the back, because in game number 2 I actually led Galarian Stunfisk, so I wasn't expecting his Charjabug lead. Had he led that, it would have been pretty much game over for me, but luckily it is the Altaria. Oh, by the way, I'm playing these battles at I'm going to be playing at 1.5 times speed just to make it a little faster. I am running Bubble Beam on my Mantine, by the way. I found it to be a little bit of a better meta call, or at least in my team, on Mantine, because it really helps with Pokemon such as Lickitung, which are kind of a struggle for my team. But against dragons like Altaria, yeah, I wish I had Ice Beam. Luckily, Mantine can still make this matchup very, very close though. And if I use a shield, I can even win this matchup. Wolfpack actually ends up using a shield though, and this means that he can Dragon Breath me down now, so actually hard swap into Poliwrath. And I figured this was very, very safe, okay? My opponent, Wolfpack here, is leading Altaria, super weak to Galarian Stunfisk. Him having Charjabug in the back, which would be one of the only real hard Poliwrath answers, seemed unlikely, because that would just insta-lose versus Galarian Stunfisk. But it is the season of ABA. And just like me, my opponent ran a team super weak to a single Pokemon in the lead. In my case, it was Charjabug. In his case, it was the Galarian Stunfisk. Unfortunately, didn't really end up working out as well for me as it did for him, though, as I now have my Poliwrath aligned to this Charjabug. He goes for the X-Scissor. By the way, Skull did not get a debuff, which was pretty bad. X-Scissor still does not knock out, though. I'm able to get to the Icy Wind, and this is huge. Just one of the reasons I really like Poliwrath. Even versus a Pokemon like Charjabug, he put in some work. Like, it's not done like that much, but at the very least, I've dropped the attack, and now I can get a very nice farm down with my Galarian Stunfisk on this Charjabug. At this point, I was extremely worried it's going to be Wishcash in the back, but given the fact that I know Wolfpack loves running Umbreon, and the fact that he brings in Altaria here to soak some energy, I think I might still have a chance here, if it is that Umbreon that I'm now expecting. Charjabug, of course, has some health still too, could be used as a catch later, so I have to be wary of that. Opponent now brings in the Umbreon, shields down, we go for Earthquake. Earthquake unfortunately nerfed, you know, a couple seasons ago. Not as strong as it used to be. I'm gonna need 3 to knock out this Umbreon, I think, instead of just double Earthquake, Rock Slide. And they're only really gonna need 2 Foul Plays to knock me out with a couple Snarls. Gonna go for another Earthquake now. I know it's at the Foul Play already. 4, 3, and then 4 for Foul Plays. So now he's there. I'm gonna try to catch it on my Mantine. That didn't work. But I figured that even if he doesn't throw that attack, there are several options for me there. 1. I Bubble Beam the Umbreon and bring it into a range where Rock Slide from my Galarian Stunfisk will knock out, and the Foul Play of his doesn't knock out because his attack is then lowered. So that will put me in a good spot. Or he switches in Charjabug to farm down my Mantine, in which case I get off several wing attacks and put this Charjabug into a range where I can Mudshot it down with the Galarian Stunfisk. And that is what I'm gonna attempt to do now. Take this first X-Scissor, Easy. Go for the mutual farm down. I have to commit. I commit. I have the Earthquake loaded. Galarian Stunfisk wins CMP versus the Umbreon. And this should be enough to knock out. And I take game number 3 versus Woolfpack there. Very happy about that one. Because I definitely didn't think I was going to win that battle after getting Poliwrath on Charge Bug. GG. The next battle I want to look at is between TonTonBatteuse and Coxiac in winners round 4 of their group. These are two incredible battlers, by the way. Tonton is an international champion. Coxiac is a regional champion. And they've already had 2 great battles in this set. And we're going to take a look at the decisive game number 3. Tonton running a team of Cresselia, Whimsicott, which is an interesting pick, Dragonite, Shadow, Galarian Stunfisk, Charjabug, and the regular Poliwrath versus Coxiac's Registeel, Dragonair, Buzzwole, which is also a very spicy pick, Whiscash, Lickitung, and Azumarill. In this game number 3, we see Tonton lead his Shadow Dragonite versus the Registeel. This is a matchup that is quite bait dependent. Dragonite can win this if you hit a superpower, but if Coxiac shields it, Dragonite will be debuffed, and then the next superpower won't really be enough to take out the Registeel, especially if Coxiac also gets a debuff with this Zap Cannon, which he does. This means now, if Tonton wants to fire another superpower, Coxiac can just let it go, but Tonton decides to switch out and catch a Zap Cannon onto the Galarian Stunfisk, which is just incredible for him. Unfortunately, he does get the buff, though, by that Zap Cannon. Coxiac can now bring in the Azumarill, and now that the Galarian Stunfisk is debuffed, these Earthquakes are threatening even less. Normally, 3 Earthquakes would be enough to knock out an Azumarill, but now definitely not. Actually, maybe with much shots it will be close, but the Stunfisk, looking at his health, going down by buff bubble, is not gonna reach 3. Next Earthquake is reached by TonTonBatteuse. Azumarill takes it like a champ. Fully bubbles down this Galarian Stunfisk before it's even able to get to another Rock Slide. Tonton bringing in the Charger by Coxiac, opting to go for the Ice Beam here. Little less efficient than the Play Rough, but now he can definitely get to 2. Tries to save the Azumarill. I like this play a lot from Coxiac because he wants to save that energy to throw at the Dragonite later. Shields up a superpower as well. That is very good for Coxiac, as that superpower would have done a ton. Tonton now forces to shield up this Body Slam, as it would knock out his Dragonite. Now that's been debuffed, he's gonna overfarm a lot here. And actually, CMP tie with the Body Slam. Tonton is just an absolute master at keeping track of his opponent's 1 turn fast attacks. Coxiac bringing Azumarill here. Doesn't throw the attack. And this may seem like a misplay, but no, I think this is the right call from Coxiac, because now he can lock on down the Dragonite and maybe outpace the Charjabug to a Zap Cannon before he can get to the second discharge. This one doesn't knock out yet because of the farm he got earlier. He's just barely gonna outpace the Charjabug to a Zap Cannon here. If this knocks out, Coxiac takes the win. But luckily for Tonton, Charjabug hangs on, gets to the discharge, and wins the game. Extremely tight match there. GG's. Next up, we're taking a look at another one of my battles, this time in the losers finals of the group stage. After I beat Woolfpack, I actually ended up losing versus Deanosky in the winners finals, so I moved down to the losers bracket, where I'll be facing off against Benchstyler. Benchstyler is a pretty tough team for me, with Altaria, Metacham, Toxapex, Galarian Stunfisk, Lickitung, and Azumarill. Especially Lickitung and Azumarill have a lot of safe matchups into my team, and Altaria really only has 1 counter in Galarian Stunfisk. In both game number 1 and 2, we ended up leading Altaria with Toxapex in the back. A lineup that would be incredibly soft versus a Galarian Stunfisk lead. It would honestly be impossible for him to come back from that, but unfortunately, both times I did not lead Galarian Stunfisk. Luckily, I did end up winning the second game though, because my Galarian Stunfisk was in the back and ended up being aligned to both Altaria and Toxapex in the end game. So, for game number 3, this game, the decisive game number 3, I decided, or I was predicting that he would go a little stronger versus the Galarian Stunfisk. I did not dare to lead it though, as I was kind of expecting a Metacham or a Azumarill on the lead though to counter the Galarian Stunfisk. So I lead Mantine because it's good versus both Metacham and Azumarill, and can also do something versus Altaria if he was to lead it again, and he did lead it again. But this is still not the worst, because Mantine has a lot of play here, even without Ice Beam. It's not ideal though, because I am kind of expecting him to be double strong against Galarian Stunfisk in the back this time. So I really do want switch advantage here, as if he is double strong against Galarian Stunfisk in the back, and it is going to be like that Azumarill Meta Gem I'm kind of expecting, I really don't want my Stunfisk on that Meta Gem. Trevenant would look to be pretty strong though. Could also always be Lickitung. That's another a Pokemon I thought it could be. In which case, I don't want my Trevenant on that. So I want Galarian Stunfisk on the Lickitung in that case. So that's why I'm fighting hard for switch here though. As you can see, my opponent actually has Toxapex and Azumarill on the back though. And he went super weak to Galarian Stunfisk again in the lead. And I mean, I didn't know that. So that's why you're going to see what I'm about to do right now. Go for the Aerial Ace here. I'm staying in. Again, I want switch advantage. And I'm going for the Bubble Beam. There's a reason for this. Bubble Beam, he's not going to shield this. He's not going to shield this, of course. But I figured if I Bubble Beam here, I can bring out my Galarian Stunfisk. Which might seem like a misplay because he has Toxapex in the back. But again, I didn't know that. I really thought it was going to be Metacham. Because it would be insane to go so weak to Galarian Stunfisk 3 times in a row. So I go in with Galarian Stunfisk here, and because the Azumarill is debuffed, I actually have a lot of play here. That second Ice Beam did nothing. I'm still on the yellow. I should be able to take another Ice Beam still. I go for the Rock Slide Bait here, expecting a shield that luckily pays off. Gotta take this next Ice Beam. Again, attack is lowered, so this doesn't knock me out. And he's staying in with the Azu, which has me feeling good. Actually, it has me worried. Never mind. No, it has me worried because why would he be staying in if it was like Metacham, right? Probably something else. Ends up being Toxapex. I'm so confused. I'm so confused. Altaria, Toxapex 3 times in a row. Trevenant still has a lot of play here. Actually, so. And I'm a shield up, so I'm not looking too bad. At this point, though, I was really nervous. Honestly, I was very nervous this tournament. I kind of lost track of how much energy the Azumarill had too. I knew how much energy the Toxapex was at, so I was fine over farming here, knowing that Brian would knock me out. But unfortunately, it did more than I thought. It did more than I thought. Go for Seed Bomb here. Probably should have thrown my Seed Bomb earlier, like before the second Prime. But I thought it would do less. Because I kind of lost track, I just throw my Seed Bomb immediately. I thought it would do enough, honestly. But no, it doesn't do enough. It doesn't do enough. And I have to go for a catch here. Catch the Ice Beam on the Galarian Stunfisk. And now my Trevenant should be able to Shadow Claw down the Azumarill. And I take this game. Honestly, definitely not perfectly played by me, but I was just barely able to eke out that victory, so I take that. GG. Next up, we're taking a look at a battle between 2 regional champions, Colin and Paulasha. This is in the winners finals of day number 2, which means the winner of this best of 5 will move into the grand finals. Colin, currently 2-1 ahead, running a team of Cresselia, Lickitung, Altaria, Shadow Poliwrath, Charjabug, and Galarian Stunfisk, versus Paulasha's Trevenant, Shadow Poliwrath, Charjabug, Azumarill, Lickitung, and Clodsire. In this game number 4, we see an Altaria versus Shadow Poliwrath lead, and this is a very interesting matchup as Altaria, of course, is doing hard-hitting damage with those neutral Dragon Breaths. But Icy Wind pretty much one-shot, and since Paulasha is outpacing, she takes the first shield with Shadow Poliwrath. Colin taking a shield here, though, with the Sky Attack. Poly already at another Icy Wind here. This should knock out the Altaria, so Colin shields it up. And if he throws another Sky Attack here, Paulasha will reach another Icy Wind, by the way. But Colin knows that he can just fully Dragon Breath down here. Take care of the Poliwrath. It's now shield down, but got switch advantage and a lot of energy on Altaria. Decided to keep that energy for later though and switch to Lickitung. And this has actually made things a little easier for Paulasha maybe, as she really doesn't want to see her Clodsire onto the Cresselia as it is running Future Sight. But now she has the Clodsire aligned to the Lickitung, which is actually not that bad. And the game is really in anyone's hands at this point. Lickitung getting to another Body Slam. Brings the Clodsire low already. Gets to another Body Slam here before Paulasha fires off the Stone Edge. Brings the Clodsire deep into the red. Paulasha going straight for a Stone Edge. Knocks out the... Oh, actually, this has to go for Undercharge. Want to get a lick down on our own Lickitung here. That's pretty big. Altaria, ton of energy stored though. It's going to get to the first Sky Attack here. Gets shielded. Ow, ooh, not able to get to the Moonblast. Paulasha gets to the Body Slam, but Altaria, super tanky, actually takes that Body Slam. Gets to the Moonblast. Does a good amount of damage versus Lickitung. And now, even though Cresselia is taking super effective damage from these licks, it should be able to take the win here versus the bulky normal Palasha. Not giving up though, gonna go for another body slam. And as you can see, Cresselia is just crazy. It is so bulky. Palasha trying to go for a catcher, but Colin patiently awaits it, doesn't fall for it, and now the future sight stored for the Lickitung to take it out, and that sealed the deal for Colin. He moves on to the grand finals. It is not quite over for Palasha quite yet though, as she moves into the losers finals, where she's faced off against Deanosky, another player who lost to Colin earlier on in the tournament. Deanosky is running a team of Pelipper, Clodsire, Charjabug, Poliwrath, Cresselia and Guzzlord versus Palasha's team, which we already saw earlier. In this game number 2, we see a Trevenant into Poliwrath lead, which is positive for Palasha, but Poliwrath definitely has player. Palasha trying to simply tie on this Icy Wind with a Seed Bomb, but Deanosky makes a very good catch, catching the Seed Bomb onto the Guzzlord. Palasha doesn't have like an incredible response to the Guzzlord here, so it brings in the neutral Clodsire. Clodsire much bulkier than a Guzzlord, so should have an okay time here. Goes for the Earthquake now. Guzzlord, tanky though, takes the Earthquake. Can't Poison Sting this down. Deanosky gets the Brutal Swing first before Palasha can throw a Stone Edge. Just takes it, as Palasha is content with giving up switch advantage here as well, seeing as she does have 2 good answers to the Poliwrath in the back. Deanosky, I think, realized that, gives up switch advantage, just goes for a Poliwrath farm down, and Poliwrath with energy is just so dangerous. Palasha brings in the Charjabug now, gets the buff by Scald, throws the Discharge into the Poliwrath, and Deanosky makes another incredible catch, catching the Discharge onto Clodsire. And keep in mind, he also got out of that matchup with an Icy Wind loaded on his Poliwrath, which could prove to be dangerous against this Trevenant later. Deanosky gets to the Stone Edge. Palasha lets it go, knowing that she has to save a shield for that Icy Wind that the Poliwrath has stored later. Stone Edge gets shielded up now. Palasha farming up energy, going for the Shadow Ball. If Deanosky lets this go, that's huge, but he shields it up. It's a good shield by Deanosky. Gets to another Stone Edge before Palasha can reach the ball. This takes the final shield. She knows switch timer's up, so she switches to Charjabug, expecting Deanosky to throw the Icy Wind into the Trevenant. She catches that attack. Unfortunately, gets farmed down by the Poliwrath here though. It does have a Seed Bomb stored, so it's able to win the charge attack priority here. Take out the Poliwrath. Can she survive the Mud Shots now to get to the Shadow Ball? Yes, she can. Shadow Ball gets fired. Clodsire, very tanky though. Does it take out the Clodsire? It does, and Palasha wins that game. Probably one of the craziest battles I saw all weekend. GG. Deanosky still ended up winning that best of 5 versus Palasha, which puts him into the grand finals, where he'll be facing off against Colin once again. Since Colin is currently still undefeated, Deanosky has to win 2 best of 5s in a row in order to become the champion, and he managed to win the first by a hair with a 3-2 score. So we're currently in the bracket reset. This is game number 5. They made it into a 10-game series, which is just insane. I definitely recommend you go to the VOD and watch this entire 10-game series back, because it was incredible. But this final game especially was really good, as Colin ends up getting a terrible lead with Poliwrath into Charjabug, switches into Altaria, since Altaria is pretty safe into Deanosky's team. Especially versus Pelipper and Poliwrath. Shields up Altaria is just painful, so Deanosky kind of forced to stay in here with Charjabug versus Altaria. This is a pretty bad matchup, but Charjabug can make it quite close in the 2 shields at least, and it's not like Deanosky is particularly weak to Poliwrath in the back. He has his own Poliwrath for the mirror, and then he also has Pelipper to kind of wall the Poliwrath as well, so this is not the worst scenario for Deanosky, even though he lost switch advantage. He took the attack there on Pelipper, then switched in Poliwrath. Colin responding with his own Poliwrath, and Colin actually running Power Punch, which helps a lot in the mirror. These counters are adding up. Deanosky gonna throw a Scald, does a lot versus Colin's. Poliwrath does not get the attack drop. Colin gonna get to another Power Punch here. This does a lot. Deanosky still able to farm down Colin's Poliwrath though. Now Lickitung comes out. Deanosky does have a shield up, but Lickitung is just so bulky that even if this Pelipper gets to a Weather Ball and a Hurricane, it shouldn't be enough to knock out the Lickitung. Yeah, he does get to a Hurricane, but Lickitung so bulky. Will take it, get the lick down, and Colin becomes the first ever double regional champion. Also, quick chair drop. Let's have a replay of that. Here we go. Chair drop on Colin's side. Boom! Not only beating opponents, but also beating chairs. Yeah, GG. Much congrats to Colin, to be honest. He beat me in Liu 2023 season, I believe, in the grand finals, where he got his first regional victory. And now he has a second regional victory here in Stuttgart, becoming the first European to win 2 regionals, which is just incredible. So, huge respect to him. And yeah, thank you very much to you guys for watching as well. Hope you enjoyed. See you next one. Good luck with your battles, traders.